Hello, hello. You're welcome to take a seat. We are ready to proceed with the Digital 360 Summit. Take a chair, take a chair. We have a keynote on platforms and cloud computing from Neville Letzerich, Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer of Security Products at Cisco Systems. If you would please take a chair, take a chair. Come to the front, guys. Don't be shy. Neville, are you ready? And you're going to take 30 minutes no matter what, right? But we,
I can roll this fast.
but I'm going to put 27 minutes.
Could you want me to stand down there?
No, right here.
Okay.
We're filming.
Okay.
We're filming. So, come on over, guys. Sit down. Take a chair. Take a chair. Take a chair. All right. Please take a chair. Please take a chair. Thank you very much. Take a chair. Digital 360 Summit is on. Thank you very much. Take a chair. Take a chair. All right. Can I get a round of applause for Neville Letzerich?
You did. That was great. All right. Can everybody hear me? I might need to raise this. Just raise it up a little bit. You know what? How about that? A little bit better? Okay, great. Thank you all for taking the time, and it's now that we've got kind of a nice room, it feels a little bit like church. Everybody starts sitting way towards the back. How many of you have teenagers or have raised? Yeah, I can see by your enthusiasm you actually do have teenagers. I'm kidding. I have two of them. I have a 17-year-old son and a 15-year-old daughter. And my daughter is actually still at that age where she'll go hang out with me. So we went on a daddy-daughter trip to Washington, D.C. recently, and she wanted to go and see the sights and wanted to go to the Smithsonian. And I think she thought the Smithsonian was one thing. So imagine her face when we got there, we're in the Uber, and you drive downtown, and she recognized all the different buildings were the Smithsonian. So we started at the Museum of Fine Art, and we were going to work our way down the National Mall. And it was interesting. I thought, we'll go do this for 30 minutes or so maybe and then make our way down. And the museum, for those of you who've never been there, it's actually set up in two wings that's split by a street, and there's a tunnel underneath. So we started out on the modern art side. It was great working our way through photographs and all kinds of things, and then made our way down through the tunnel to the other wing and saw some of the old masters, Da Vinci's work, et cetera. It was really incredible. But what I noticed along the way was how our conversation changed. The kinds of things we were talking about, you just can't help but be influenced when you see things like that. And it really starts to change your mind. And when you walk away from all of that great stuff, hours later, we saw the world in a different way. And I think that's why you come to things like this. You come and you get around each other and you look at things in different ways, innovations. And so I thought what we'd do is spend a little time today going on a journey ourselves and hopefully take you through looking at some of the things we're thinking about communities and communities reimagined, how cybersecurity plays in that. And I'm sure you're like, oh, come on, seriously, cybersecurity? A bunch of guys in hoodies, hacking in. We're not going to go down the scary route. We're just going to talk about what's going on there and then give you a little bit of a view into the future and how we're seeing some of the transitions around security and how that's making these communities reimagined reality. So Cisco, this is near and dear to our hearts. Our communities are changing from an aging population. We just heard the group that was up here around potable water. 30% of potable water lost to leakage or theft. I think in Austin, we all know how important every drip of that is. 6.9 billion hours being lost due to delayed travel. I think a lot of that is me sitting in traffic now that everybody's back out on the roadways. 200,000 estimated traffic control infrastructure vulnerabilities in cities worldwide. 200,000. And then amazing, amazing energy consumption and toxic emissions coming out of our cities. Our communities are changing. And a big key to this is things that can be delivered digitally must and will be delivered digitally. We saw this through the pandemic, and as people were forced to look at things in different ways, this isn't slowing down, it's speeding up. And you look at the various different aspects of all the pieces of communities that are getting impacted, whether it's energy and water, environment, government, public Wi-Fi, safety and security, and all the different applications around that. Whether it's improved citizen safety, cost savings, efficiency gains, business continuity, and on, and the technologies necessary to make this happen. So at Cisco, we actually take a platform approach to this. Yes, you can go piece these things together from various different areas. One of the things that we've really tried to do is look and say, how do we bring this technology together either natively, so that we put it all together for you, or with our partners. And we have a massive ecosystem of partners, but the goal is bringing a platform-oriented solution to communities so that they can actually take advantage of this.
Cities need to deliver important services for citizens, as well as enable delivery of essential federal and state services. Beyond critical infrastructure such as water, power, and roadways, Cisco technologies help cities provide scalable, reliable, and secure communications infrastructure that assures inclusive connectivity for their residents. By integrating 5G, CPRS, private LTE, Wi-Fi 6, and optical networks, Cisco's FIPS-certified FISMA-compliant solutions assures secure, zero-trust approach for access control and microsegmentation to protect city operations, as well as residents and businesses, a must in today's high cyber threat environments. The Cisco-enabled infrastructure empowers service providers to connect all citizens at scale with high-speed internet access, including delivering educational, healthcare, and other vital services to underserved areas. Let's take a closer look. Imagine a family leaving their apartment for the day. In the background, a Cisco-connected infrastructure provides real-time city traffic updates, combined with train and bus schedules, helping parents to identify the best way to get their children to school and them to work on time, while also having access to the latest weather and news headlines. Cisco-connected infrastructure and services ensure the student gets to class on time with wayfinding and other school services. Besides learning at school, citywide secure broadband access and Wi-Fi enables the student to learn, do homework, and collaborate with teachers and classmates from the school courtyard or a local park, on bus rides to and from school, and at home, including streaming live and recorded lessons. High-speed connectivity also empowers parents to be able to work from home, conduct telemedicine visits when family members can't travel to the doctor, or learn new skills from advanced education courses, all while Cisco solutions ensure personal data confidentiality and privacy. Powering an inclusive future for all, the city's infrastructure allows cities to offer reliable, secure, high-speed internet to previously underserved communities, which is also a boon for small businesses. Families can take advantage of pervasive, secure mobile access to critical services, such as Social Security, their Department of Motor Vehicles, online bill pay, school progress reports, and more. This integrated Cisco infrastructure is the foundation that helps residents enjoy rich, seamless experiences that keep them healthy, safe, and connected, no matter where they are.
Awesome. So we just wanted to give you a perspective of when we talk about communities being reimagined, the holistic look, and really looking end to end at everything from the underlying infrastructure to now as things are being digitized, how do we protect it? How do we look at it? How do we make sure people have the right access to the right information at the right time? How do we make sure all the connected devices are what they say they are and have the right access to the information they need? We heard about those drones earlier from Marcus at UT. That's not fake. That's real. And we're seeing everything getting connected. So you almost live in this world now where everyone starts becoming an insider and everything is connecting. Now, there's some of you in the room that may look and go, we're not going to the cloud. We're not going to ever leverage the cloud. I don't know. You could try that approach. I think you may find that there are difficulties if you just try to stay pure on-prem forever. Can you do it? Sure. But if you don't leverage cloud, it gets harder and harder not only to do your jobs and to take advantage of things, it's going to be really hard to get talent because we're finding more and more digital talent. They want to leverage those cloud systems and leverage data as it exchanges. So as you think about communities being reimagined, there's some core building blocks, and you see those here. An inclusive infrastructure. So this is the ability to look end to end and really make sure that you've got the infrastructure necessary to deliver the physical and digital services. The resiliency of the critical infrastructure and the resident services. Data-driven responsiveness to make sure that as you're responding to things, you're responding to things with the highest priority. And then finally, comprehensive security resilience. Now, I think you probably have heard over the last few days a lot about the first three. And then I think sometimes people tag in security, they're like, oh, and make sure it's secure. But when you think about what does that actually mean? Not the doom and gloom, let's do all the scare tactics, but what does security resilience actually mean, and how does that play in and enable and empower kind of communities reimagined? First, the hell is security resilience? Like, let's at least lay out a definition of what we're talking about. This is really the ability to protect the integrity of every aspect of the community to withstand unpredictable threats and changes, and then emerge stronger. And that last piece is really key, the emerging stronger. For so long, and oftentimes when you hear cybersecurity, people think, oh, it's keep people out, keep the bad actors out. That is true. There is a very stark reality, though, that if somebody wants to breach you, eventually they likely will. So it's not if you're going to be breached, it's when you're going to be breached. And then what do you do about it? So cybersecurity has shifted. Yes, of course, you want deep protection, keeping people out, only allowing the right things to happen. But then the other question becomes, what happens if you do get breached? When you do get breached, and then can you bounce back stronger? How do you minimize what happens and bounce back stronger? So there's 5 actual dimensions to this, and that's what you see up here. The first one is the ability to see more. It takes billions of signals. How do you look out and get signals from everything? So as tons of stuff is connecting, whether it's new IoT devices, so your Internet of Things devices, operational technology, your big SCADA systems or other elements, down to your IT systems, your users, constituents, whoever it may be, people connecting in, things connecting in, that creates billions of signals. You need to be able to see those and not have them siloed off. And you need to be able to leverage shared intelligence, and that's the second aspect of this, so that you can anticipate what's next. From a Cisco perspective, this is our Talos threat intelligence team. Hundreds of threat intelligence people sitting and working every day, looking at systems across the globe, and then sharing that intelligence with you. So this, what it lets you do is basically take advantage of signals outside of your company, outside of your community, so that if something's happening somewhere in the world, you're getting updated and your systems are getting updated so that breach doesn't happen to you. And that lets you really prioritize what's most important. And so you can take the right action. And when I think about this, an analogy, my car has an auto braking system, which sounds really good. You go buy a car, you hear that, like, I don't know if I'll ever use it, but great. Oh no, it's very helpful in the H-E-B parking lots here in Austin when the soccer moms come blasting through in their massive SUVs because they think it's a freeway and no one else is on it. The car actually recognizes those signals, sees stuff that I can't, and will stop as I'm backing up. Being able to do that with your community, with your company, taking in signals from all different locations, you don't have to write the algorithms, you don't have to process it, so that it can take action for you. The fourth aspect is really closing the gaps, taking a platform approach. So as you look at your infrastructure, you look at the different lines, and then your security infrastructure to be able to secure new things that are coming. Great, drones, new systems, whatever. But also the systems you already have. Being able to work with your existing infrastructure, your existing pieces, and do it well. And then finally, when something happens, or when a vulnerability is spotted, nothing's happened yet, but there's a vulnerability is noted, going in and being able to automate and orchestrate responses so you get stronger every day. The 5 of these actually work together and feed on each other so that your cybersecurity stance inside of your reimagining your community grows with you and works with you as things change. And so that's how security resilience works. So how does this look in the real world? Let's take a look at and I'm going to get this wrong, Albuquerque Bernalillo County Water Utility Authority, the ABCWUA. I hope they don't put that on their t-shirts. Unbelievable water utility, though, that went in, needed to update their SCADA systems. So basically, a lot of their big automated control systems, really important for them to be able to see their big control systems and their IT environments in a single pane of glass, and then make sure everything was secured. Now, not this particular facility, but another one actually had employees that went rogue and tried to hack into the systems to change the chlorination. And so actually would have then sent over-chlorinated water into the populace. These things are real, and they can happen. So, and a lot of utilities and other organizations now want to be able to look with a single pane of glass and see what's going on across my systems, what signals are out there, what do I need to do about it, so that they can take action and meet the necessary compliance requirements. And so that was a big one for these folks. Another one, so thinking about reimagining communities, kind of near and dear to our hearts here, this is Fort Worth. Fort Worth had roughly 60,000 Fort Worth residents that lacked home access to the internet. Try going through the pandemic, try living your life without any access to the internet. All the small businesses impacted in the community, et cetera. So we were able to work with them, and you can see the quote from the mayor here, Mayor Maddie Parker, around bridging a steep aspect of the digital divide. So these went into 5 neighborhoods, put in Wi-Fi capabilities to bring, and then backhauled it at speed and at scale. So now massive underserved elements of the community could access the internet and participate in ways they couldn't before. So these are just a couple of case studies of how, as you're thinking about communities being reimagined, security and connectivity all coming together to make the residents and the constituents have a better life and really make our communities thrive in great ways. So then where are things going? So that's stuff that's happening today. Where do we see this going? I want to give you a little look into where we see the future and how things are developing. Because I think we're living in a world where you're going to see hybrid architectures. Some organizations will fully go to the cloud. That's not going to be everybody. And that's not even necessarily going to be a lot of people. You're going to find the vast majority of people using on-premises elements as well as cloud-based capabilities. But the threat landscape itself, as well as the threat surface, are driving people to adopt a more integrated networking and security approach. What does that actually mean? So if you look at the technology that's out there, and you don't have to be a deep technologist, but just know that if you're not, the stuff you used to have was all kind of contained in your data centers, whether it was your storage, your compute, your networking. It was able, you can wrap your arms around it, you can control it. Your IT team had it, great. Now you're starting to see things offered infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service, and on and on. The world is developing to where there's kind of almost 4 computers. You've got Microsoft with Azure, Google with GCP or Google Cloud Platform, Amazon with AWS, and then your private data centers or the elements that you control. And what we're seeing is we're going to be living very shortly, if you're not already, in a hybrid multi-cloud future. And so what we see is organizations, communities, whether it's government entities, whether it's business organizations, wanting to be able to leverage the cloud but not be locked into a single vendor. Not just Microsoft, not just AWS, not combinations, and still needing your own on-premise, so whether it's your data centers or things you've got on your campuses, but the things you own, and it all needs to work together. So what we're working on is what we call the Cisco Security Cloud that brings these elements together and lifts security and networking up so that you can work across all of these systems, whether it's your owned infrastructure or cloud-based applications and systems securely. So that is what we're working on. Some of this has been delivered already. Some of it is in process, but I wanted to give you a quick glance just so you know what's happening and what we're seeing out there. What we're delivering is a global, cloud-delivered, integrated platform that secures and connects organizations and communities of any shape or size. So open this thing up. and I know the graphics are probably a little hard to see on the screen, but inside of here, what you see is security services, network services, threat detection and response, with unified policy and management and open connectedness, all available to be utilized as you need it. So if we take it and we break this apart, one of the most important aspects of this is secure connectivity. So imagine being able to work, whether it's from your managed facilities that you own, whether it's someone's working from a home office, a coffee shop, from a car, essentially, whether it's your employees or anybody connecting in over devices that you control, or over devices you don't. Maybe they're connecting with their phone or an iPad. Maybe it's a device like an IoT device. Maybe it's one of those drones or a bunch of those drones that Marcus mentioned. All of that data being transmitted. How do you do that safely? How do you make sure someone doesn't snag that connection, spoof it, start stealing some of the data off of it? What if you could connect into a security cloud and all the connectivity was done for you, all the security services provided for you? You don't have to deal with it at all. Whether you're connecting to SaaS applications, to your owned applications and infrastructure, that's the goal here. And one really important aspect of this is identity. How do you know that the person that's connecting is supposed to have access, one, to begin with, and that they should continue to have it? So a lot of times what you'll see is someone logs in, they're good, and they can do whatever they want. What happens when they start acting in ways that they shouldn't? What happens when they start sending records out that they shouldn't? We take a process of continuous trusted access, looking at someone and making sure they only have access to the things they're supposed to at that point in time, based on what they're doing, how they're acting, et cetera. So that's a key point of that connectivity. The second, how do you deal with all of your policies? Everybody loves setting up business policies. Sounds great. Put them into IT systems. Also good. The problem is when you've got multiple different systems and you're having to go update multiple different policies every time they change. One of the things that we're doing is providing unified policy and management so that you can set a policy once and it gets updated and propagated across all your systems. It will look for any issues or concerns with it, so any issues, and then leverage what's going on in your system to help update policies as necessary in line with your business rules. And then the final aspect of the key piece of this is open connectivity. So being able to connect to your existing systems as they exist, or to third parties that want to build on top of it. So the idea is that the functionality will go up very fast, and you stay on top of things without having to deal with it. So that kind of brings together all the networks, security services, and various different elements in one place, and then you provide the threat detection and response on top of it. So making sure that if something happens anywhere in your infrastructure or anywhere across the globe, whether your security people see it or ours do, or even the agents that we can put on this. So automated intelligence and artificial intelligence response engines to be watching what's going on at massive speed. So that's where we're going, and that's what you're going to hear. You'll hear a lot more from Cisco on this, a lot from our partner ecosystem on the security cloud and bringing this to bear. And I just wanted to show it to you and give you a perspective. This, and gosh, I'm sorry, for those of you who sat far away from the screen, you can't see it. These are a lot more case studies. So when you think about communities being reimagined, whether it's the transit corridor, the digital divide, sports and entertainment, airports and ports, connected justice, you name it, this is something we're doing every day. And these are some examples from across the globe. So it's something near and dear to our hearts, and something we see incredible value in, because there's a lot that comes from, and things that are amazing things that come from when you connect the unconnected. So that is it. Thank you so much for your time.